Hey everyone, today I'm going to review the session I had on Ignition Poker, where I was playing a bunch of sit and goes for buy-ins between like $5 to $20, but mostly about $10 actually. And I mean, I definitely ran very good and yeah, really great session in that respect. But I also want to share some of the decisions I made that basically helped me to maximize my edge and also a few points I think I could have played better. So also dive a little bit into those as well. And if this way I have like picked out the hands I do want to review. I also include a few just to show kind of some of the tendencies so that you can see the background information of why I made certain decisions. This one is from the very start of the session. Yeah, like we were raising the limp like with King 2 suited. I realize, yeah, it's a little bit speculative, of course, but I think you do want to have some like semi bluffs in your, raising over limps range, and the suited King does play fairly well post flop. Especially when they're going to be overfolding as well here, then that also kind of helps to just be able to take it down. So yeah, that was like the first hand, like pretty standard, well, standard at least to the way I like to exploit these guys, like just punishing their limps. And yeah, the guy who like limped before did like does the raise, like, okay, the limp didn't work, and I happen to have a hand I can free bet here, so yeah, that was kind of fun. Like the fact he's always flatting my raises just puts me in such a great spot. And when he donks here, like these donks, I think is generally going to be quite weak. Like it's going to be like a top pair at best. So this one, like you can just raise pretty easily. Like even with a lot weaker queens, you could consider raising, but this one I think a pretty easy candidate. I mean, given he folded, yeah, maybe you can make an argument for calling. I think there's definitely a universe where you call also, but it's also sometimes nice just to deny their equity, like to have a three or a four or a flush draw or whatever, just deny the equity quite directly. Yeah, I included this one, yeah, because it being a pot where I raise it. I mean, to be fair, like probably one of my small pre-flop leaks, I probably don't raise enough with some sort of semi bluffs in the small blind, but when they limp, yeah, it kind of makes it a bit easier, and yeah, he ends up like calling, and I mean the turn is a great card for him, so just a very clear fold. Like no reason to raise in this spot. So yeah, next one here. This yeah, free bet's a little bit light. I mean, this guy hadn't really. I mean, this is very early in the event. There's not enough hands to make any reads, but so I have this feeling based on like, the speed of his raise and the size is just quite weak. So it's just like very exploitative free bet, and that's kind of the approach I've been taking like on Ignition last stage, is playing like super loose aggressive. Some say almost to the point of being a maniac, but it seems to work well because they seem to way overfold for one thing. The two big blind raisers way overfold too. And they just tend to play very badly against again, the aggression in general. Like here as well, like normally I would just fold the ace-7 off as you really should do. But for this one, yeah, I sort of saw that no one was really free betting in this so far. And when no one's free betting, you can really get away with a lot more, and they all just fold to me. Kind of been using a little bit of like ICM pressure against these guys, even though the ICM is not a big factor at this stage, but still it's something. Normally I would just fold this, by the way, but the reason I called is because these two players, I think, were both away from the computer, actually. Like, I explained some of the decision I made knowing that some of these players to my direct left were sitting out, and, when you have players sitting out to your direct left, that's like a bit of luck in itself. Again, with these donks, like, I felt like my hand wasn't really the sort of hand that fits well into a raising range. Like, I'd much rather raise of like Queen Jack or like even like 4-5 or something like some bad gut shots. I've got like the pair and double backdoor. I think that you're happy just to call it and kind of realize equity. And when he bets here, yeah, again, like I just treat it as a check. Think, okay, it's as if he checked. And again, I think no real reason to turn the pair into a bluff here. And when he bets, it's like it's kind of clear he just has something because, we are blocking quite a few bluffs of like the Queen Jack and the Queen 10. And okay, those hands, yeah, was sort of has pre-flop anyway. But yeah, it's just a pretty easy fold there, especially when the block is in play. Again, this one, yeah, is getting kind of out of line, but knowing these two would fold because they weren't there, like that's kind of the reason why I did this. Figuring it okay, like this guy hasn't played a single hand, now he finally does. And that's what I do. Like once they sort of start free betting me, or if they start, make some plays where my exploits means I'm going to get exploited. Yeah, I just adapt a little bit from there. But if you're enjoying this video, me just sort of sharing my thought process of how I approach these different situations. And yeah, feel free to subscribe to the channel. You can also like the video down below, so I know do more like this one. And yeah, this one, like this one big blind bet. I mean, with an ace high board, you're going to bet pretty small here, like 20, 25% pot. And this one, yeah, again, like there's no real sort of showdown values. I think you just want to like just go for it here with, any sort of any sort of flush draw or gut shot or straight or open ender. And yeah, this one, like, yeah, you have no showdown value. You have to bet something here. And he does end up folding, so it does work quite well, this triple barrel bluff. I think like when you're sort of playing loose aggressive, yeah, you do have to be willing to like sort of find some. I think this might have been the hand we just saw before, actually. Oh no, this one's a different one. But yeah, because obviously like when you are playing like a wire edge hand, yeah, you do have to be prepared to play some of them quite aggressively, or if you're just playing passively after they call, then you're not going to really be making much money post flop. I mean, if they're way over folding pre, or if they're making a free bet that's just way too small like this, then yeah, I mean, you're getting a profitable call with almost only two cards because you're only 26% odds here, and you block aces, like you've always got a chance. But okay, in the end, he checks, and yeah, this one I decided to just bet one. I mean, not sure if this is necessary to play. I think I remember actually, yeah, what happened was he kind of timed out. I think like he did a timeout check, so he did like a one big blind bet, thinking, okay, let's just bet as soon as possible. He'll time out, and I'll just steal the pot. But I think he managed to get back in time, and then he made the call. And yeah, when the six comes, like I sort of figured, okay, this five big blind bet. I sort of had this feeling like, yeah, that he, you know, I'm trying to remember what I was thinking actually, because I might have been playing two tables almost by this time. I know, no, I was playing one table. I think at the time I just thought that, yeah, I might try like just get him off an ace. I think is probably what I was thinking. I mean, to be fair, like it's not the best candidate to sort of bluff because I do block the logical nut flush draws with the ace of clubs. So yeah, I don't know if I like this play that much. Maybe check calling's better, but if he I check and he bets big, I kind of have to fold against these low stakes guys. So okay, it ends up being sort of like a block bet where he probably should raise me quite a bit, but he doesn't, and ends up just being a chop pot. Yeah, well, we did get a little bit lucky on that one. Um, and yeah, this one, yeah, just standard free bet, and yeah, this is sort of an example. I think these guys were because basically you can't see my stats on the screen. Like I can see the the VPIP and all those stats, but okay, I was telling you that at this point, like it showed me as free betting 67% of the time, but it's also only 15 hands. Like it's not enough data to really go off of. But you can sort of see this guy just got sick of me just like raising and free betting all the time. And he ends up making this four bet jam with you guys are gonna love this actually. He ends up making this jam with like a7 offsuit. And yeah, it's a bit of a sweat when he has a gut shot to go with the flush, go with the top pair draw after the flop for the ace. But yeah, in the end we do hold and it works out. And I mean that really sets us up very well, of course, where this tournament was I should have mentioned at the start, but this tournament we're looking at here was actually a $10 turbo event. So, just like standard sort of payout, 39 for first, start 21 for second. And yeah, obviously, you don't really want to give me a big stack like this because, I'm going to make very good use of it and apply a lot of ICM pressure. And it's funny, even though like sit and goes, of course, they play very differently to normal MTTs. And, one of the main ways they play differently is just with I kind of glossed over this hand a little bit. I kind of showed this one to show an example. This guy like kind of owning himself with the bet here, where like folds out worse, gets called by better. But yeah, because that was something a note I kind of took actually when I was like after I saw this hand, and it did affect a few of my decisions later. But yeah, like one difference you'll notice, especially when you get kind of a bit deeper, is sort of how much more like an understanding of ICM comes into play. And I mean, it's not really a topic I've really studied so deeply per se. I didn't realize like Jack nine off is technically a fold pre-flop, but again, I was taking advantage of the fact that I only been free bet once, and that these guys were not really defending anywhere near enough, which makes these sort of raise a lot more profitable. And yeah, he ends up just folding. I mean, we didn't flop like a gut shot and overcard and backdoor flush, so it's a pretty good flop for us actually. But yeah, in any case, another thing I noticed like with the sizing as well, I kind of glossed over that, but half pot I think is fairly reasonable as far as I know. I will admit, like I'm definitely not like the expert on GTO stuff. Like when I try to solve like GTO puzzles like for post flop, I do not very well in them honestly. But somehow I'm quite good at sort of noticing what the mistakes are that my opponents are making and being able to sort of adjust correctly in response. That's kind of my skill set more you could say. Um because a lot of them do make pretty big mistakes at low to mid stakes, but yeah, and in this one, yeah, like just min raising again, they're folding way too much. So if they're folding just as much to a 2x raise as to a 3x, 4x, or 5x raise, which is often the case in low stakes, not noticing your bet size. Then you can sort of get away with doing these sort of things where, this guy maybe should be defending every hand a big blind to a 2x raise, but, he's just not. So you're just kind of printing. And I mean, this one, yeah, when you have an ace high board like this, like you're going to normally be betting very small, especially multi-way or just checking. I think this is perfectly fine as a check. I know we do turn a little bit of equity here. I mean, if it was heads up, I think I would probably fire this turn because we are blocking the flush draws. So bet like, betting three big blinds here can also get some of those flush draws out just to deny equity. But yeah, as it happens, we check. And I mean, this is a spot where if they both checked, I mean, actually, I kind of enough showdown value. I probably should just check it actually. But yeah, when someone bets, like you bet nine big blinds, yeah, just betting like 1.5x pot, this guy calls, yeah, it is a very clear fold. And actually, hang on a sec. Yeah, this guy bet. You can't see it right now. Like you guys ain't can see it, but for me, it's like covered by the VPIP stats and all. But yeah, it bet three, and this guy raised to nine. So yeah, very easy fold. Anyway, moving on to the next one. Yeah, so this guy knows this guy is a very short stack now. Like when you see these stacks are short, like it's definitely becomes a lot riskier to raise like this. Because if these guys are smart, they're just going to three bet jam on you with a pretty wide range of hands and just force you to fold quite a lot. Because these guys are not doing that, I'm just able to just keep picking up the blind, just make my stack bigger and bigger. You can see I'm also having like some trap hands as well, like ace king, where I'm thrilled if they jam on me, which is what we see here. And I think I held on this one. Yeah, I end up like jamming 6-4. Like clearly this guy was getting kind of tilted and it affected his play. And I think that's maybe one reason also why the loose aggressive style probably works well in Ignition. Is that these guys just aren't used to it and they just sort of like start doing really dumb things because of the pressure. Like they just can't mentally handle it. This one, I think this guy was auto folding if I remember correctly. Yeah, he was auto folding. Otherwise, I'd just fold this. But yeah, when this guy is not going to be in the hand, then you can call almost any two cards in the small blind when you know big blind folds there. Yeah, I do make this call with like the backdoor with the queen as such, and with the overcard. I mean, if he makes it any bigger, I like if he makes it 1.5, I'm probably just folding here. But yeah, I think for this tiny size, like he could be doing this with his old range potentially. And then when he does bet this, I think okay, I'm no good. Let's just get out of the way. Yeah, again, Jack five suited a little bit. Yeah, a little bit too speculative, objectively speaking. When you factor in the ICM that there's a tournament where only the top two are paid, and these three are all kind of similar stacks. Like there is a spot where they, just trying to like outlast each other. It allows you to raise a lot wider than what you normally would. And they're also going to overfold in response, so really using that to your advantage. Sometimes I forget to know which way I'm going. Just remember the right button for next hand. So yeah, we end up checking, like just showing like I'm not just raising blindly on any hand. Like there is obviously a method to the aggression here. We check and yeah, end up like making it one big blind, figuring okay, a lot of the time he just has nothing on this board, so let's just like try and take it down. And yeah, he ends up raising, and okay, we have nothing here. Like the six is a very dirty out because any 10 still beats us, so it's just a fold in that case. It's an example of using like the ICM pressure where you like throw in this tiny bet. Because when you are in a spot where you are like the covering stack and it's sort of closest to the money, it does give you the opportunity to I think this guy was auto folding again, otherwise I just fold this. But yeah, but it does give you the opportunity to apply a lot more pressure on the opponents as such, because they have to be a lot tighter. And yeah, this one's kind of like a good example actually, because here, the 4-5 has come in for the straight, the flush draws come in, and I do block the straight. So it's just a very logical counter just to like bet pot and just really put them in a very tough spot. Like on the ICM, like even if you like river to six, it's still not so easy to call it off. And kind of skip ahead a bit there, but yeah, he does end up folding in this spot, I believe. Yeah, and we just kind of increase our chip lead, and this is a good example applying the pressure because if he calls here, and I do have something like if I have an ace or something or a king that beats his hand, then yeah, he's just in an awful spot, like very hard for him to get in the money. So it's yeah, so this one again, same story where okay, this time because of the stacks I do mix in some jams for a little bit of variety. Like, because again, this hand you should probably normally fold, but with ICM, yeah, they just can't really call you except with something really, really good. And yeah, when he jams, yeah, we obviously just get out of the way and show you just so you can kind of see, yeah, he jammed with Queen 10 off. The 5-4 call is a little light, but he is in the big blind for you're only paying like 2.5, so it kind of plays itself. But again, it kind of showing some hands, even the ones that I didn't play, so you can sort of see the data that I kind of had when making the decisions rather than just you like taking my word of, oh, this is what I saw in a sense. Yeah, I mean, this one's pretty standard, like on a paired board like this, and it does hit the big blind quite well, in fact. So, I mean, it's what we actually should be jamming a bit, but yeah, it ends up getting through. But yeah, this was one that, in hindsight, it looked like this was a bad call when you sort of see they have like ace, king, and kings. But I think with the sevens, it's just too good of a hand, and we are also the covering stack. It's not like we're out of the tournament if we lose a flip or something. So I think it's fine. We just ran into like the topper range for both. That being said, it is true the guy who initially jammed for 10 big blinds, he had, a pre-flop raise percentage of like 6% before this hand. But even so, like you assume he's going to jam a lot of ace X, a lot of like suited broadways. So yeah, it just is what it is. And yeah, it's also good to kind of see, like the tournament doesn't always go like completely your way. Like usually something will go a little wrong at some point, but I am still the chip leader by a small amount. It's not like the worst outcome in the world. And yeah, like when he min raises here, like you can just apply so much pressure with these free bets. Because again, they just have to fold so many better hands because he's just bleeding money. He's throwing away potentially $21 and a second place. If he calls and loses. When these other stacks are a little shorter than him. So that worked out pretty well. And okay, we are getting lucky to get these good hands as well, like Ace Queen. But yeah, you can see like in just two hands, just by stealing the raise, this guy's raised twice. Like we basically were able to just get to, being back to like 2x everyone else's stack, which is just a dream spot to be in. And okay, when you're picking up hands, it obviously helps as well. But yeah, we end up winning one where a tiny underdog. Yeah, and then this one again, just pure ICM pressure, like these next hands. It's more just kind of showing the same thing. Okay, this one, I think what I was thinking, I was probably trying to incite a jam or something. Oh no, I think it was, yeah, this guy was like not at the table, he was sitting out. So that's why I made it 2x. Again, it's a garbage hand, but they just can't call because of the ICM pressure. And we just keep chipping up and chipping up. And it's kind of an interesting situation, actually, where you almost kind of don't want them to go. Like the fact they're both in the hand means you just keep taking their chips forever and just put him in hell. Okay, clearly he hit something good by the turn, so this is an easy fold. But yeah, this one also, I think it's nice, not to just jam literally every single hand. I find that if you do occasionally throw in a fold, they kind of will tend to overfold to you more, is what I've noticed. Like if you jam it around somebody that's going to call you some garbage and then it's sort of a flip. So it's something I've also kind of developed a little bit of an exploit, and you're also realizing that these guys are probably going to go all in, and it just gives me like the automatic second place no matter what they're at the absolute minimum. And so we get this heads up, and yeah, at this point, yeah, I mean it's so short. Then you're just going to be jamming like almost any two cards at this point. Literally any two, but like very close to it. Yeah, and then again, same story. He ends up calling, and yeah, he ends up winning a near flip. What can you do? But we still have a pretty nice chip lead because of having taken so many of their chips earlier. And again, like this free bet, I kind of had this sense from playing other hands with him that basically, how to say it, like basically he was folding way too much to my free bets. So that's one reason I had like a free bet percentage of 31% before this hand. But yeah, he ends up folding, and I'm pretty sure he probably had a better hand than me, or he just raced for the sake of it. But that's another reason why, yeah, you just want to be jamming a lot in these spots because, the fold equity is a thing. It might only be like, or 2/10 of a big blind in, or 1/5 of a big blind in the antes. But every little bit adds up, and okay, we have an easily good enough hand to call with here. It's kind of a funny to run out where yeah, he ends up flopping two pair and I like goes run over straight on the board. So it was probably pretty tilted about that, but he got lucky, then I got lucky. Anyway, yeah, we had a check, and yeah, this is a spot where yeah, I think when you've got top like bottom two pair, it makes a lot more sense to raise it than if you have like ace jack, for instance. But okay, turns out he was just like taking a stab with nothing with this sort of donk. So yeah, I mean, what can you do? But you get something at least. Yeah, this one. I mean, if it wasn't antes, I mean, it's such a small bet. Like you can pretty much call any two cards at this point against such a bet. So that's kind of why I did it. I mean, he should just jam at this point, like pretty much with range. I'd say he got a bit fancy, and well, he kind of got punished for it. And by the way, I would do this like not just with two pair, but I think that you can almost jam with range at this point because the board hits the big blind so much better. So we jam, he calls with king queen high, and yeah, he's basically just dead almost pre-flops, almost on the flop. So yeah, so that was kind of how I won this $10 turbo. I want to try also like that tournaments where like it didn't go so well for me, just so you know I wasn't like just running like a god, but I did have some bad hands as well. Um, yeah, I think I only called this one because it was a limp. I guess I've been experimenting a little bit with calling a bit wider against limps from like the small blind and from and against like min raises and lots of people calling from the big blind. Been experimenting with it a bit lately, just saying, okay, I'm getting enough equity to call with almost any two cards. Yeah, we get pocket sevens again. Yeah, pretty easy raise against a limp. And it's like I'm going 2x pot because you really don't want the pots to go multi-way in general, unless I have a hand that plays really well multi-way.